All right, let's see. Let's start with this Kendrick interview. Did you check out the Kendrick interview?
I read it. It wasn't as salacious as I thought it was going to be. It was kind of more like introspective and spiritual and like talking about growth and so I was bored.
We're going to go over
I'm kidding.
You were bored. It was
it was boring, but like some of it was nice to hear from Kendrick because I am a Kendrick fan and he rarely speaks. So it was good seeing like where his state of mind was right now as a human being. But like right now, all we care about hearing you speak about is about this specific beef and like where your state of mind was around that. And that was one of the questions out of the whole interview. So.
And then he sat down with SZA. It was Harper Bazaar, right?
Yeah.
So let's make sure we take a note of that because that's going to be later on in our conversation. Do you believe this was actually him speaking this back and forth with her, or this was like typed up, like just print? Because I've seen his interviews before, and he doesn't talk this fluently, like how it's written.
No, it was definitely like edited to make him sound better. It was probably more of a, if it was an actual interview, which I hope it is, because that's just something that we don't need to start doing. But
this is like an AI interview. For
yes, like I don't want us to start doing that. But yeah, they was probably edited, and if it was an actual interview, it was probably more conversational. It was probably just him and SZA sitting down, and talking about stuff like brother sister type shit, you know?
Because apparently the way they set it up is they had a journalist in the room with them, and then they had a conversation about just art, where they're at, and I'm trying to find
that happens regularly, but it's usually like celebrities interviewing each other. That's a form of content that's not new. Like there's multiple platforms that do that, and I enjoy those types of interviews a lot. But this in magazine form, it seems a little bit awkward because you're just reading it.
Like, so. I picture him like
anybody could be asking him these questions.
I picture him like in a mesh shirt with like the crown of thorns and some like awkward big glasses on, just having this conversation with SZA, like sitting Indian style in the middle of the room.
I was definitely imagining them both sitting Indian style in like on the floor.
Like after he just did a set of push-ups. Like that's like what I picture this interview was doing. I want to get to some of the quotes. I'm trying to find them. So
one of my favorite quotes from the interview was, "I don't believe I'm an angry person, but I do believe in love and war, and I believe they both need to exist." And that was the only question that was really in regard to the Drake beef. And he was basically like, "Yeah, I had to get my shit off." Like, basically, that's what I got from it. But yeah.
So no, he had more questions about it. He had like where he talked about the meaning of not like us. This is when his shit got nuts. Okay, so this is what this nigga said.
Oh yeah, I did see that too.
Not like us is the energy of who I am, the type of man I represent. This man has morals. He has values. He believes in something. He stands on something. He's not pandering. He's a man who can recognize his mistakes and is not afraid to share the mistakes, and can dig deep down into the fear-based ideologies and experiences to be able to express them without feeling like less of a man. If I'm thinking of not like us, I'm thinking of me and whoever identifies with it. Okay, so this is a bunch of bullshit, right? Like you definitely can, you feel that when you read that?
Yeah.
Like, he's just talking out his ass. If he even said those words.
I don't think that's the intention that he had behind it when he made the track initially at all. Like
this is the most pretentious bullshit I've read in a long time.
It was an extremely pretentious answer. This entire interview was kind of pretentious though.
I mean, for sure. Like that's his brand though. Like that's why I don't think we don't give enough credit in criticizing the package that is Kendrick Lamar. Because this is just like the dude who comes in who, like back in our day, who maybe had listened to like Tribe Called Quest or Wu-Tang, shit like that, and be acting like, oh, he's a snob because we was listening to, Roscoe Dash and T.I. and shit. Like that's how that shit was.
That was me.
Those are the folks who used to come around like, bro, like that shit is so annoying.
That was me.
These dudes that kind of like
y'all niggas not listening to real music. You don't know what the fuck real music is. You don't know what real hip hop is.
All y'all was saying was real music was old music. Like that's all y'all were just saying.
It wasn't always old though. It was a bunch of new niggas underground though. It was always underground. Like it couldn't be mainstream. It was pretentious for a specific reason.
Like this, and that's what I think my problem is with like just the brand of Kendrick Lamar is just that it's this super preachy, over pretentious like ideology that leads you nowhere. It's just selling you a bag, like a false bag of goods. And that's what I just get from it when I hear that. I'd rather you just give me the hedonism and I just have to decipher through the filth myself than you just try to like come off like you're leading me, but then you're not. Like you're leading me, but you're not responsible where I go.
I don't like that answer because I don't know. I feel like he could have gave a more relevant answer at like in accordance to like Drake and his position in the culture and how Kendrick feels about that, because I feel like that's what Not Like Us was about, was that like you're kind of like teeter-tottering between like, I don't know, you're in black culture, but you're not fully black. Like that's what he was trying to say, right?
Yeah, he was trying to say that you're not really for the culture.
Yeah, that's what it is. And you put the culture on as like a costume to gain financially and notoriety and monetarily, but this isn't like what you were raised in, and this isn't who you are, and you are not like us. Like this is who we are for real. So I didn't like that answer because it just, I don't know, it felt like an afterthought. It didn't feel like the conception of the song. Like I wanted an actual answer as to like what it, I don't care what you thought it was though. Like this is what happens with art. We interpret art a bunch of different ways and a bunch of people take it however they want to take it. And that's my favorite part. People can interpret things the way they want to. I used to take in English class, AP literature, all of that. You used to sit down and then everyone would have like a completely different like train of thought that they took when they read this literature. And it's the same for music. Like you can have a completely different train of thought. And it was just like, it just seemed like he was trying so hard to sound smart in the way he was explaining it. And that didn't feel genuine at all. You didn't like this nigga because he was frying. Like that's it.
Certified lover boy, certified pedophile. There's not too many different ways that anybody's going to think how we're going to look at that. Like there's only one way. You hate this nigga and you want him to die. Like there's nothing else. And you said that too.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah,
like this nigga said that. Like there's no other way to spin this. And like for him to not come out and be like, bro, I have blood on my hands and I'm dirty. Like from this shit is just crazy. And like, this is the kind of the main point we want to get into.
That's also what I want him to get into. Like, how do you feel after calling a nigga a pedophile?
Like, that's the real tea.
And then performing it over and over again.
But we can't have that conversation yet to the Super Bowl now. Yeah. Because he can't speak really. That's the thing. This whole interview to me gave
was too early and it was just nonsense.
But this whole interview, what it gave to me was just, I'm trying to position myself with advertisers. So I'm not going to say anything crazy. I'm not going to do anything to kind of wake this up that it makes more people do a deep dive on it and kind of look into even more of his history because he doesn't want that. So I just see that this was just such a PR fluff interview that it makes me ask this question, and we can get into this a little bit further, is when is Kendrick going to be held responsible for black media? Now that, especially that he's considered the number one guy, like when is he going to be responsible the same way everybody kept saying, oh, Drake is fucked up for not sitting down with X, Y, and Z?
What do you mean responsible for black media? Because he sits down with people.
He hasn't sat down in a while with any black media besides the California people that he'll show love to, like Big Boy and all them. But no, when has he sat down with an Elliot? When has he sat down with Joe? Joe's been begging essentially for the interview since the beef started. Like, does he owe? I feel as though because of where he's at, he kind of owes hip hop at least one or two deep interviews with before the Super Bowl at least. But
when I saw this interview, I thought that's what he was giving us, something in a more controlled environment.
But even then, Harper Bazaar is not black.
It's not black and it's not hip hop. It's fashion. Like, it's a fashion magazine.
I wouldn't have been mad if it being out of the genre. If it at least could have been a black publication. No, I don't care. Make it a black publication. I'd rather fuck Complex. Complex is owned by white people. Like,
so what publication though?
I mean, it could have been any it could have been a podcast you would have went to, and they could have did
just give somebody
a transcript of your shit before the podcast come out. Just anybody, give somebody an opportunity. Could have been Taylor Rook. Shit, she does good interviews, even though it's mostly sports. So I mean, anybody would have been better than Harper Bazaar. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just to me where we have to at some point hold him responsible. Like we said, we talked about it with the BET Awards. They give you 12 awards and you can't even show up once. Can't do a video.
Showed up, though.
But cool, but you're supposed to be the leader.
Like, nobody showed up to that shit because it was kind of like
you're still supposed to be the leader.
It was so less than as a production.
That's cool. Okay, cool. Send up a video, set up some cameras, give us a cool little 5-minute video, thanking the BET Awards, telling you love the people and the culture, something. But it's like there's no onus on him the way it has been on Drake. And it's just, to me, it's just bizarre that we have all of these people who don't get any love from this guy. And the reason they show hate towards Drake was for the same reason that Kendrick does to them, which is snub him the entire time.
Yeah, let me see if Kendrick, like, what interviews has Kendrick done lately?
I mean, because he really
hasn't. Yeah, he's one of those niggas that kind of just like stays to himself completely.
I can't think of anything since the last project. Like, even when he went on tour, I can't think of any big interview that popped up, unless it may have been something overseas where it'd been like a profile or something on him. But I can't imagine. I can't even think of anything that would resonate. That I could say, okay, that's the Kendrick interview.
The first thing that pops up is a GQ interview he did 8 years ago.
See, that's during the come up. That's not.
Yeah, he does not interview at all.
But then again, like I'm saying, it's a give and take relationship with the media when you do this. They're going to cover you when you do good shit, like have the concert that he did, the tour that he did. But in the same token, like, you have to show some type of love. You have to extend some type of love. And all I'm seeing is him now is take. And this is everything you accuse Drake of being. Taking, and not giving up to anybody. Who we putting on? We gonna have Baby Keem? Like come on.
And whoever else is, I'm just saying, employed with
TDE or TDE. So I mean,
and all of that production and all that stuff.
But it goes even deeper than that, because did you see Punch's tweet?
No, what did he tweet?
Okay, hold on, I got it right here. So he said, I respect hip hop journalism and feel it's needed in its truest form. It helps keep the culture alive, but there's only a few real ones left. Most of you guys are trash, just in my opinion. That's why the artists don't want to talk to you. That's bullshit. Even if it is.
Was Kendrick's criticism that he doesn't do black media, or was that
the criticism,
the internet?
So the criticism stemmed from the fact that Drake, that used to be the talk point. Elliot came out a while ago. Remember he did the Bobby Altoff interview and he did the Barstool interview? Yeah. So it started coming out was, Drake's not doing black media. That became the narrative. That's what I feel like fueled the fire for the beef that happened later on.
I feel like the beef probably.
I'm talking about for the media. The media was able to put more fire on it because nobody was really supporting Drake.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So they wasn't supporting him. When the beef happened, they stopped supporting him in that moment. What I'm saying is Kendrick never did any of that. Y'all never held him to that standard either.
Yeah, because Kendrick is a shut-in. Like, he's done, like...
But that should be come with some type of... You lose points for that.
You do lose points for that. Like, Beyonce hasn't done an interview in mad long either. Like, there's a lot of people that basically don't pop out. Beyonce, Jay-Z, there's a lot of people who basically never pop out and give us interviews. Drake pops out once in a while with a white publication to give us an interview. Kendrick pops out.
But he'll do his own live streams and stuff. Drake interacts with his people.
And Kendrick doesn't.
And that's what I'm saying.
He doesn't even post on his Instagram. Like, on social media, he'll post something when he's dropping. Other than that, we get nothing.
It's like being in an abusive relationship.
No, but that's remember, I've said this on this podcast over and over and over again, that I want you niggas to be a little bit more mysterious, and I want to know less about you, and I want to know less of your opinions, and I want you to give me the art, and then I want you to shut the fuck up and go home.
No, and I respect that, but in the
And Kendrick
conversation,
does that.
But in the conversation I'm having here, I'm talking about media having a criticism on Drake.
Okay, I just don't
their-
want you to frame it around like Kendrick had that criticism, and he's
No,
okay.
I said it the entire time.
Okay,
Media
okay.
was criticizing
Yeah.
Drake, and nobody is now holding Kendrick to that standard. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem I've been having just with the whole thing, because that's what Drake's whole point was in his battle. Was, nigga, you just me packaged differently. And nobody wants to wake that part up because
packaged differently because he's like actually in this shit.
No, you're just as much in this shit as I am.
No, like he grew up in it.
Drake, come on now. We can say he grew up in it, cool.
Where do you keep saying? Where did Drake in Memphis?
He was there for the summers.
He fucking went to his deadbeat daddy house once every 3 years to Memphis to
Can't be a
be
deadbeat if
black
he went there.
a little bit. Like, come
be,
on.
Can't be deadbeat if there's a post in there. So
Huh?
can't be a deadbeat if it's a post in there.
Post?
A post, like a post.
Oh.
Nigga was trying. But no, what I'm saying is cool. He grew up into the culture, but you still, it's not just because I grew up in the culture, I can just take. I still have to give back to it. And he's not giving back to it in a real, it's supposed to be an ecosystem. Mm-hmm. You make music, you make events, you come and sit down, we talk to it, we make it a big production, and we continue that process. And now he's never really given that, but now he's definitely no longer giving that to black media. And I just want everybody to have the same criticism for everybody. We're going to be doing this, judging things accordingly. Shit on him the same way you shit on Drake.
I'm sure Kendrick is doing things for his culture and his community, but he historically has not been a nigga who's been loud about anything. He pops out, he drops his music, he leaves, and he has been doing so since
Let me clarify
2007.
When I say community, I mean in the industry of black media in relation to their black stars. Because again, this isn't just a Kendrick problem. Historically, we've had issues with black artists in any genre, any type of art or entertainment industry, not wanting to give interviews, not wanting to give looks to black media. They'll just walk right past you on the red carpet. That's happened plenty of times. Where it's happened so often where we now highlight when the actors say, no, I want to talk to my people.
That reminds me of something. Law Roach told this story in an interview that he did this year. I don't even know when it was. But he said that when he was dressing the black celebrities, your Tyler Perry's, your this and that's, the big houses were like, you don't work with anybody of like any actual stature. When he started working with like other white celebrities and stuff, then that's when he started getting the attention from like the bigger, more established couture houses. And then he said that he swore to himself that he would never work with these other celebrities, like the black celebrities again, so that he could be taken seriously. And then looking back, like in hindsight, like 10 years after now, he was like, what the fuck was I doing? Because he should have like stood 10 toes down and just been talented and worked with the people that he wanted to work with, and still worked with the people in the black community. Like it doesn't even matter when you think about him and who he works with. But I feel like a lot of people probably fall under that. Like they're trying to like fit the status quo and like look like they're serious. So, when you want to look like you're serious, you want to do interviews with like a Vogue, a Harper's Bazaar, instead of sitting down with like a Drink Champs or something like that and getting shit faced. But it's extremely important. It's extremely important for you to sit down with the Joe Budden podcast, to sit down with the Drink Champs, to sit down with the Gillies and Wallows and stuff like that, because like you're feeding your culture. Like this is who you need to prioritize.
Yeah, like I said, I would love to just see him have a real like cutthroat, like really to the bones conversation about this, because like I said, this was a big moment in hip hop. So, and just like you said, just to get into his mind frame and his mindset and how these beats came about, like People are going to want to hear this.
I want to
And
hear
so-
about him reaching out to other producers, how he got the beats. I want to hear him talk about how Not Like Us was received and how he took that. And then like
I don't want to hear it on your shit. Like, I don't want to hear it where you control the narrative and everybody in the interviewers are all working for you. I want to hear it from somebody who's an unbiased, objective, journalist or party. Not, and that's what I'm saying. Even Joe Budden shit, it's going to be a cool interview, but you know what Joe does? He does the vibe shit.
Yeah.
He may get into it a little bit, but if he sees that he's not trying to get into that, he's not going to try like to dig deep into that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like as the consumers, the people who enjoyed it, we deserve that at least.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that interview that much as someone who was like very heavily invested in this beef, but as somebody who is a SZA fan and a Kendrick fan, because it wasn't just a Kendrick interview. Like, SZA was speaking a lot too, and she was giving her perspective, and it was them just back and forth. So it wasn't what I was expecting, but it was an